All right, so there's a little something different about today's show. This is on my forehead. That's what's different. Hey, you're here.
I'm usually here. That's not different.
Well, I mean, but you're here. You're proximate. You could smell my dinner.
I can give you your beat.
Thank you. So I have my fidget beads. You're messing with my things. So this is what the 7th time, 11th time we've brought Eric Poses on the show.
Maybe like the 4th.
The official game show of the Backpack Show.
But we don't always talk to him about his stuff. We usually just play.
That's true. We're not going to play as much today unless he's got a bunch of cards on his desk. Which, what kind of game producer wouldn't? I could be into it. So Eric Poses is on. We're celebrating the 26th edition of Loaded Questions. We'll talk about why that is. What else? Anything else we need to say?
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
I'm just going to look at all the stuff on your desk.
Oh, yeah. There's lots of things. Hey, look, there's my biological mother. I said that wrong. It's my biological father and his wife who gave me birth. Look at that. Carol Alalouf. Hello from Montreal. Can't hear Carrie so well because someone's whispering.
Sitting 5 feet away.
All right.
Warehouse.
It was Carrie's birthday yesterday, by the way. So we celebrated Carrie's birthday. Some people celebrated more. Good morning, Leslie, and hello, Deanna. So there we go. I think we got our romper room out of the way. So now we can grab our man Eric Poses from Miami Beach, by the way. It is snowing here in Massachusetts. Perfect time to visit. Glad
to
see
say
you.
Anything, I have to lean way over.
Not an awkward show at all. It'll be great.
It'll be great.
I'm going to try to fart the whole time.
Super.
Happy birthday. All right. Eric Poses, you signed up to this. I don't know why. Welcome back.
Thanks, guys, and happy belated birthday, Kerry.
There we go. Thank you.
I'm not a Facebook guy, so I never know when people's birthdays happen.
You know, I'm barely on Facebook these days, so I was getting calls from people who said Mark Zuckerberg told them it was my birthday. I was like, cool, thanks, pal.
The Zuck is good about that.
Oh, snowy where Leslie is because Leslie's north of us right now. I keep you're proximate. I have to change everything. I can't talk about Nashville now. Miami Beach, it's not snowing. Eric, you are celebrating the 26th anniversary of Loaded Questions. That's awkward. Why?
I am. Last year was the 25th anniversary, obviously, and I was going to come out with a greatest hits edition to celebrate the 25th anniversary. But I'm sure you guys have heard about global supply chain issues and shipping delays, and I was a victim of that, so I decided to delay the anniversary to the 26th anniversary this year.
I think it's a good plan because there's probably not a lot of people, if any, who have celebrated a 26th anniversary.
Do you have more?
26 is better. There's probably products that survived 25 years and then they fell off the face of the earth. So 26 greater than 25.
But I wanted to play the game, so I had to take the wrapping off, which included the sticker. Can you just send me another sticker and I'll slap it right on the box?
I'll send you a sticker.
Cool.
Sounds almost like an insult. I'll send you a sticker.
Or and stuff. Did you actually have a big launch for it?
Hasn't happened yet. I'm delaying the launch a couple more weeks, but the game's live on Amazon and in specialty stores, and then it'll be everywhere this fall.
Coming this fall, 26th anniversary of Loaded Questions.
That's
what
right.
happens in the process as you go along? We on our holiday show, we did the adult edition. We didn't drag you onto that one, but we did the adult one. Almost nobody wanted to play. They were super shy because this is a live stream to LinkedIn and Twitter.
We picked like PG-13.
We did ask the most PG-13 of the questions, but one, how do you feel that was received? And then I guess two is do you still have 85 variants of this game you're planning to do?
I feel like this greatest hits edition, and I just updated the Loaded Questions adult edition to be much more adult. I went through the content, changed up the gameplay, the packaging, the design. It's significantly more adult than the version we played. And I have a party edition, and I'm looking at this as sort of my swan song to the Loaded Questions brand. These 3 updated and new additions will be the Loaded Questions games moving forward for the foreseeable future. Who knows what might happen down the road, but I intended these 3 additions to be the best versions of the brand.
Oh, for God's sake, stop talking. Let the woman speak.
Is it like one of those when a band has like a couple of hits and they're asked to play them all the time and they get real sick of it?
No, I'm sort of positioning myself like the Who, where I'm going to probably have many more additions after this. Who knows? I'm
Or
I'm
like
just-
Celine
I'm
Dion's
trying to build a
farewell tour.
buzz. Yeah.
Kiss's
No,
annual farewell
Yeah.
tour. Yeah.
I would say every week I write down new loaded questions, so I don't get bored of it.
That's interesting. How do you? We've asked variations of questions on how to make games and how to design games and all that. So we'll sort of retread some of this. But how do you know something is going to make a great loaded questions question, or when do you start to say, I think I need a different design format, or I need a different frame for this game?
Well, with loaded questions in particular, if the question is going to likely generate a different response from different people, then you have a good question on your hands. For example, what award would you not want to win? I'm sure the 3 of us will come up with different answers for that. Or what would you not expect to find in a safe? You're probably going to have different answers. And the game is all about picking a favorite answer, but also guessing who said which answer. So
I have a real world answer for that safe one. The answer was napkins, because having broken into a safe, I was like, why did this person put napkins in this safe? There were other things, but none of it. It was completely detritus.
When did you break into a safe?
Can't explain that for legal reasons, but I did.
Well, maybe it was Bill Gates when he, had an idea at dinner and, wrote down this idea for Microsoft, and, that belongs in a safe.
I'd be afraid. What about like hoarders? Stuff gets really weird. Like they can keep their safe.
They can keep their safe.
That's where the really important stuff is for the hoarders.
Are there? So I feel like there's a game renaissance. Are your sales saying the same thing? Like since pandemic, I feel like there's more people keeping on with tabletop and board games. Are you getting that sort of feel out there in the wild? Hi, Suze.
Games have been a great category in the toy industry for actually a long time. They certainly picked up during the pandemic, but it's been a strong category. It's repeat play value, relatively inexpensive product, works for large groups and small groups. But yeah, the pandemic was definitely great for games as people hunkered down and hanging out with family. And my family games really took off during the pandemic.
That's interesting to note. So what are, besides loaded questions, you also have a whole bunch of licensed games. Are you picking up more licensed games, dropping off more licensed games? What's the story on licensed right now?
I have the Awkward Family Photos license, and so there's an Awkward Family Photo Greatest Hits game and an expansion pack. And then I work with the author Dan Gutman, who wrote the My Weird School books, and that's a kids game I have. I have the official My Weird School game. And at the start of the pandemic, I'm thankful that I was able to negotiate a license with the Worst Case Scenario Survival Handbook, the publisher of that book. And I came out with a Worst Case Scenario card game that proved to be very timely. It launched at Target. It did really well, and I actually sold those rights to the game last year. So I'm no longer producing or distributing that game. But yeah, I am going after other licenses. Hopefully the next time I'm on the show, I can announce a new one, but that's where I'm at right now.
I just want to like reconfigure your mic arm.
You've gone mute.
Better now?
I
There are
can
no
hear you.
guy over there. Did you check the settings?
We'll check settings. Hang
Okay.
on, everybody. I may have broken everything. No, it's there.
Okay, cool. What about mobile apps? Like, do you have any interest? My kids are still into board games, but they also sometimes want to play like drawing games on the computer or games that you display on the mobile, like kind of like the old version of holding a card up to your forehead, that kind of stuff. So things that are like tech assisted. Are there like mobile versions, or will there be?
There won't be from me. I have 2 teenage daughters, and I see them on their phones all day, and so I happen to despise the phone and screens. But if there's a mobile app company out there that would want to license my proprietary games, I'm all for it. But it almost becomes another product that I have to market, and I'm a one-man shop. And so the work I have in marketing my current physical board games is more than enough for me to handle.
Chris should be in prison. Can you like, that's an arm with many hinges. Maybe we can like, don't unplug it.
Don't touch my buttons. All right. Sorry, Eric.
You've got to move it out of your face. Sorry, you do.
Hi. So I wanted to go back to the licensing thing for a minute. When you sell, I'm getting in your business, so you can
Get into my business, Chris.
Like,
let me smell your dinner, as you say.
Oh, I like it. Can you afford an electric piano now that you sold those rights? Like this, I guess what I'm asking, because Carol said, "Ooh, game flipper," and I was like, "Is that lucrative? Like, is there a business in that, or is that just like you finally like saying, "Oh, phew, someone's coming to take this from me"?" You see what I'm asking? I'm not asking like, I made $41,000. I want to know, like, is there a business model to that for you, or is it just like it allows you to focus on other stuff?
It was never part of my business model. I was going along with my business, selling this game to everyone who wanted to buy it, and a company approached me because they were interested in the brand, and we worked out a mutually beneficial deal. So I knew that I was going to be launching the Loaded Questions Greatest Hits game this year, so it shore up time, put some money in the account, and I have a future interest in the game and its success.
The heat or something just came on. I'm like getting woo, my hair's blowing around. I always wanted to talk about your operations. Do you have like a skeleton crew, like who works for you, who helps you, or is it just like you and a van with branding that drives around the country selling games?
I have a wonderful graphic designer who I've worked with now for about 11 years, but she's in Philadelphia now. She used to work out of my office here in Miami Beach. We rendezvous every week and work on projects together. And I'm thankful to have a wonderful marketing assistant who we have limited hours together, but otherwise it is just me.
That's wild. The thought I had about that is that you also are helping the paper industry continue, cardboard and pulp and all that sort of a thing. There must be like, do you get to go to those trade shows? Do they like hunt you down and say, Eric, it'd be so much cooler if you'd use our paper and our like to me, there must be a very eager industry to promote what you do.
Sure. I do one trade show a year though, and it's typically the New York Toy Fair. So it's hard to find me unless I'm in my van in your town, which also doesn't happen that often anymore. I produced in the US for 21 years roughly, and then moved my production over to China. So maybe I'm helping the Chinese paper industry, which I'm sure everyone loves to hear that. But my margins dictated it, and that's what happened, and that's the story I'm sticking to.
So you like cruise through town in your awesome van saying, "Who wants to come and play with me?"
Not if my daughters are with me. They won't be caught dead in that thing.
That's kind of sad. So
and those are actually words that go together terribly. Van, caught dead, girls. Like let's move on. Thanks.
Do you have any game ideas that come from your kids or your family? And I'm sure some of them stink, which is a whole other thing you could talk about. But like, have you ever gotten one that was actually good that you wanted to run with and develop?
Well, I am thankful to my younger daughter who's 14 now, I was working on a school-based game, something where the content had to do with school life, and it was meant to be for elementary school kids. And she was a big fan of the My Weird School books at the time, and she said, "Why don't you do a My Weird School game?" So she was the impetus for that license, and we just renewed for another 3 years, and it's it'll be in its 8th year by the time I hopefully renew again.
What's a sample of something that goes on in that game, by the way? Talk a little bit about what that game is about.
So the My Weird School books, there's about 85, I think, in existence, and 3 new ones come out each year. And each title in the book series is a rhyming title, starting with Miss Daisy is crazy and Mr. Klutz is nuts. All the adults at the elementary school are weird. And so in this game, which is called Miss Bernard is a Wild Card, because all the wild cards in the game feature this new Miss Bernard character. In the game, you're trying to create a 5-card sentence where your first 2 cards rhyme, which kind of goes along with the My Weird School brand. So it's educational, that it teaches kids sentence structure and nouns and adjectives and verbs. And it's just a really funny, silly, easy to play card game that parents will actually enjoy too.
We have some sponsors, I think.
Sponsors? 1 second, Eric poses. My life, We're sponsored by StreamYard. You can make a show. You don't even have to sit so close to your co-host if you don't want.
You don't. You just put the female co-host outside and wave to her occasionally while she passes sticky notes up.
There you go. StreamYard. Castos.com. They make podcasting software. That's what I've been told.
You're talking into the hinge.
You can also get a .online domain at cbrogan.net/online. Make sure you put the code in, just Chris, any old way.
All caps, or it won't work.
All caps, or it won't work. There you go. That's sponsors.
Does that not also bend up? I feel like you're...
No, I have thoughts. I think I could do it next time I ask Eric a reasonably long question.
Okay.
So look, Deanna has a good question. She says, do you take game pitches from other game designers? How's that work?
Yeah, what would that, there would be complications, right? Because they'd have some rights in it potentially.
It's stated on my website clearly. I do not look at outside game ideas, but I'm always willing to talk to game designers who have new games that they want to self-publish or license. But the fun that I have in my work is coming up with my own ideas, and those are enough to keep me occupied, where I have plenty of ideas to work on. I just don't have the time to produce them all. So for outside game ideas, I try to be as helpful as possible, but I don't license them. I lost you.
Check, baby. 1, 2, 3, baby. Doo, 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 doo.
Awesome. Do you help game developers that come to you with an idea that they want to develop?
Yeah.
Or are you like, go screw yourself? Competition?
No. I always try to help. I got a lot of help 26 years ago when I started, so I like to return the favor. Absolutely. And I really like Chris's rendition of Rex and Effects, so thank you for that.
I'm turning your heat off. This is ridiculous.
That was an opportunity for you, Chris, to now sing "It's Getting Hot in Here" and riff off that.
Take off all our clothes.
Yeah.
Yep. I could. I have a lyric for all of it. So here I am. All right. So one thing nobody knows, and I'm going to ask you this as a question. One thing nobody knows is that I change the name frequently during the show as kind of an Easter egg. Do you ever hide Easter eggs in your games?
I don't have a golden ticket or any Easter eggs to speak of. No.
Oh, I don't. I've learned I also shouldn't ask yes or no questions. Okay.
I ripped a little bit. I
did.
Yeah. I wonk at it.
Do you get hate mail, Eric, from people who are like,
Lots.
what the hell is this question?
I get hate mail mainly. No. No.
Do you ever answer it?
I get the occasional, we bought your game and it didn't have the spinner, or it might be missing this. I'll get that maybe every couple months. And then I kindly send the missing part to someone. But I don't know of any hate mail I've received, but I welcome it. I like the controversy.
You have your call to action, folks.
Deanna wants, to at least consult with you a little about an idea of a game for grandparents and grandchildren. I would like that one. I would like to I would license Know Your Meme or something like that.
Oh my God. That would help them speak the same language, grandparents and kids. We need our banner back up.
Oh, banner. Because I would say that memes are probably central to do your teen daughters talk in memes a lot? Do they like reference things from videos and you have to smile politely for a while until you get clued in on it?
That's exactly how it goes. And you and your listeners are probably, or viewers, are probably very familiar with What Do You Meme, which is one of the most popular family and party games out there. So the meme culture is big, just not big with the boomer like me, but I'm well aware of it.
But as soon as you develop a game that explains like Gen Z language and stuff, as soon as other people start using that language, they're going to stop. So you'll have like this endless supply of game ideas. You'll have to keep updating it for the grandparents.
That's right.
I never did think about that. Like jargony kind of things in a game must be tricky. Like you can't say like on fleek or your game is locked into a time zone. Did you do much of that? Did you learn the hard way or anything on that or what?
I've never done anything on fleek. And I tend to update my games with the times. So if I ever had anything remotely close to an on fleek, it might be taken out of the game in a future edition.
It makes sense to me. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing.
There's stuff though that this is just for Deanna, but like there's stuff that kids use to communicate now it's not even words. It sounds like cows lowing or something. It's because it's from GIFs and memes and things. It's just noises. I don't even know how that translates to a game. I'm so sorry.
We're just yet another generation to not understand the next generation. It's a cycle.
Cool and far out and awesome. They're not that tough, but based. It's based.
It's based.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard that once. I don't know what it means still, but yes.
You're like, based on what?
Like we're just inches away from Demolition Man being a real movie, like a documentary. New York Toy Fair. I have never been. I've always wanted to go, and the only time I've ever seen it, I watch like 11-year-old, YouTubers or whatever talk about how this toy is cool or that toy is cool. What does your eye lock into there? And what are some of the things you see that either one you want to emulate or two you think are so cool you just can't wait to see it on a real shelf?
Well, my time at the New York Toy Fair is spent behind in a booth essentially, where I don't get the luxury of seeing everything that's cool out there aside from my immediate neighbors. And I think you'll be pleased to know that at the last New York Toy Fair, are you familiar with the iconic Burt Reynolds half naked on a rug pose? Well, I did that pose with a game strategically positioned. That was my 15-foot banner behind me. So
I think we're going to need to see that.
I'm going to outdo myself at the upcoming show in September. And I would love to have you guys as my guests if you wanted to come into New York and attend the show.
That would be fun. So I'll like give out games. You have to do the laying
pose
on the rug. Yeah.
But I mean, so that means you leaned into
Invitation
your name. Eric
rescinded.
poses.
Eric poses. He's here all week.
Eric poses on rugs, evidently, it turns out.
That's right.
I even have a furry rug.
I even had handouts that said, I saw this man's games at Toy Fair with that picture, so.
I played with Eric poses.
Yeah.
Your Honor. That's what comes out of that picture.
One of my mom's signature phrases was, "What do you think this is? Fun and games?" I could have been like, "Yes, Mom." Literally.
Yes.
Literally, it's fun and games.
Do you get that one ever? Like, do you ever like? I don't know. I can't see you as the kind of guy who goes to mixers. But if you do, you tell the people, I design toy games or whatever, what comes next after that in a conversation with civilians?
Well, in my interactions with civilians, it's a different job. It is a cool job. It's fun. And the most fun I have with what I do is developing the games and seeing them come to life. What they don't see.
Eric, I'm sorry. He's doing all this weird stuff over here.
Sorry, keep going as you were.
Sorry.
Is it me?
No.
No, I just moved. And
It's his dinner?
He went like a half a mile to get his coffee and bring it slowly back over.
Slow-mo.
I'm so sorry. This is our first time doing anything proximate like this, and it's
going great.
It's going great. Sorry. Completely sober.
I don't know where I was.
So anyway,
civilian talk. I like to think I'm a civilian, much like them. But it's a fun job. It's not your typical desk job.
Do people laugh right away when you tell them? Like, I know if I've seen people be like, "Oh, I'm a comedian," the other person's automatically like, "What do they do for you? Like, what's their kind of visceral reaction?"
I have a great game idea. That's the most common response. Or what are some of your games? But most people do have a good game idea. That's been done.
What about one where you get people to draw and you come up with a prompt like school bus and they have to draw it?
Or what about one that's all about real estate?
Well, the best is when I get an email from a prospective inventor saying they have a question-based game where all the questions are open-ended and you have to guess who said what. That's happened many times. And they typically contact me through my website, which features the Loaded Questions games prominently. So that's probably the worst of them.
What's your like white whale, like a game you really want to create and you want to get made and you just haven't been able to make it like launch right, or it's not the right time, or people have responded like not in a super excited way about it? What do you really want to make?
You're the first to hear this, actually. It's the most half-baked idea ever. It's quarter-baked. It's eighth-baked. I was listening to the Howard Stern show, and Eric Andre was on. He's a comedian, actor. And I was always fascinated by the name Eric Andre. I wasn't sure, was his name Eric or Andre? So I am working on a game called Famous People with Two First Names. I reached out to Eric Andre. I didn't hear from him. I haven't thought to reach out to Bob Dylan, Billy Joel, or the 150 other famous people with two first names that I have in this game right now. Elton John, sure. There's many. Anna Kendrick Lamar. You can keep going. And so
Lamar Alexander, we could do this all night.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin, Andre Benjamin.
Very nice.
There are special cards in the game where you lose points if you have Lee Harvey Oswald.
Oof.
Special points if you have Michael Clark Duncan. I mean, it is really out there. It's perfect for you guys.
Love it.
So that is a game I would love to do. Famous People with Two First Names, presented by Eric Andre. That's my current white whale. It's not a moneymaker. Very niche, but a fun one.
You heard it here first.
That's, to me, though, that has to be something in kind of your psyche of, as a game designer, you don't always, I mean, look, we all want to make the next Pictionary or whatever the Hall of Fame game is. But on the other side, there is some real joy to making a real niche game that people are like, oh my gosh, have you played this thing? And like 190 people are like devotees.
That's like my Major Woody's Wild Foursomes game, which was a dirty take on the game's bingo and sequence. That I think 190 people bought that game.
I have one. I have one on my shelf at home.
It's funny, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got it for free, so I probably liked it more than some. I'm just kidding.
Although you're it's funny, right? It made me laugh because I think of when comedians do that. Comedians will tell the joke and they'll be like, "Huh?" And you're like, "Well, it didn't work because we would have all just laughed." But like, do you have? I mean, what's the worst clunker that you've released that you're willing to talk about?
Well, many, first of all, but maybe the worst one was a game. Was a game I did. I was living in Santa Monica, and I remember there was like a 2-month period where I was working on this game where I would sit at a bar that I like, my local bar, and I'd only have a Guinness or two over the course of 3 hours, but that was my time spent there developing content for a game I did called Arbitration, which is one of the worst named games ever. And it was the most convoluted rock, paper, scissor game that it was just god awful. And it was definitely the 1 or 2 Guinness that I might have while I was developing the game injected into that nuanced gameplay that was a real clunker.
Arbitration is usually something buried really deep in a contract that when people find out they have to do it, they're really mad.
People were really mad. The 190 people who bought this game were really mad at, when they opened it up.
The lack of joy.
Do you have like 190 really close friends? Because that seems to be your low water mark.
Well, Chris brought up that number, and it's probably accurate. I don't have that many friends.
Eric poses. You are so fun. It is time to do a person of the day. I haven't hit all the buttons, let alone left-handed, in a long time.
Is Chloe here? She's always my person of the day because she's in.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
God bless Tim Kitzrow.
I know.
We should drag him back onto the show. We've made poor Poses show up 18 times. Let's see.
I can't quit you.
That's right.
And he's really tried.
He keeps going, I don't have any good reason why not.
I love games. There's never been a show that featured Eric that I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to be a slog.
Chloe's our person of the day. Kaboom.
Yay.
There may be some bribery involved in that answer,
There
by the
is.
way. What happened?
Chloe sent me the most beautiful cupcakes I have ever seen. I almost didn't want to eat them. I say almost. But I mean, they look so ornate. And I was so happy to receive them.
I saw pictures. They look like rich people cupcakes, if that makes sense. So look, the backpack's getting really full to the top, but we might as well ask the question. So the question is, what goes in your backpack? We've asked the same question to you many times before. It looks like that graphic. We asked the question. It could be something physical. It could be something metaphorical, something for the future. Let's a 2023 edition, 26th anniversary edition. Eric poses. What do you need for this coming year that you can stick in the backpack for some success?
Well, I guess like most Americans, I'm a caffeine-addled person, and I find that a little bit of Bailey's in my coffee is a good thing to have. So a little bottle of Bailey's, couple decks of cards, and a notepad and pen, I think would probably keep me going. Is that a satisfiable answer?
I'm satisfied.
We'll allow it. I think that sounds great. By the way, if you want to try a brand new coffee that you've never had that only amounts to about $2 a cup, you can get yourself coffee at cbrogan.net/coffee. It's made by Cometeer. They do a curation all over the best coffees ever. They send them to you frozen, which is crazy ass. I don't actually know how the business model
It's
works.
like a super concentrated ice
Super
block.
like a little cup. It looks like a K cup, but don't do that. And so I just heat mine up in the old nuclear wave and make it in a cup, and that's delicious coffee. cbrogan.net/coffee. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Eric Poses added an ad without even knowing because he said,
Yeah, I'm happy for that assist.
good, right over the wall.
You've sent us so many nice things. I feel like we should send you some coffee.
Well, yeah, we can. Oh, I can just take one of my boxes out
Yeah.
and a nice.
Yeah,
cube.
we'll just give you his whole coffee.
I'll give you some of my old coffees.
That's really nice.
Let's-
just
I'm gonna
send you
I'm gonna
30
send you the 30,000 copies of Arbitration I have in Green Bay, Wisconsin tomorrow.
I'll settle for one. I'll bring it to like an attorney conference, and next thing you know, you'll have sales going. Like
I don't
crazy.
have any more. It's
Oh,
long gone.
dang. You burn them in a bonfire.
Oh, like ET. They're in a landfill.
They
Like
were
the-
they were a tax write-off. Yeah, sure.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay, watch this. This is going to be. I'm excited about this. There may or may not be audio right now, but that happened.
There's audio.